The Oversmiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Oversmiling Faces podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. First of all, apologies for being late. Wasn't our fault this time. Everybody was on time, but as Decker put it, Wi-Fi issues.
It was Wi-Fi issues.
It was Wi-Fi issues. Yeah. Just before we were about to press record, Wi-Fi just went completely. But Mark came to the rescue.
That's it. No dodgy laptop photos this time, though. So that was good because we weren't going live at the time.
Hi, boys. How are all yous? How are you, bestie?
I'm really well. I've been like proper under the weather since like last Tuesday, and I've just kind of started to pick up again today. So I'm quite happy. I've spent most weekend in bed, just absolutely knackered. Lazy. I just couldn't be bothered. After another weekend,
it's stress, bestie. Stress of moving house. That's what it is.
It is. I'm in an old house now as well. I think I mentioned this last week, but the amount of dog dirt and the pavements in like the Edwardian Terraces in South Shields
is terraced streets.
Absolutely berserk.
Yeah.
I went to the bakery for about a couple of stotties.
The show wasn't the seagulls. Some size them seagulls.
That was a decent size, but no.
They don't do shit.
Honestly, you're more or less kind of skipping past it. It's
nightmare.
Outrageous. It's berserk.
It's the same on my street as well, mate. It's a lot worse on one side of the road than it is on the other, though. It's just really random. But yeah, this is a good start to the podcast.
This podcast is brought to you by Town Council. All of the sights and sounds.
If anything, it's
South Shields.
Criticism of South Town. I can't even say it. I'm so incandescent. No, I'm grand. Thank you, Chris. How are you?
I'm canny, mate. I'm nervous.
It's all right. Just four lads having a nice time together.
We're all friends here. You don't need to be nervous.
No, so the reason I'm nervous, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are experiencing
is it those results from your test?
Yeah.
Because how close we are to this heater.
Yeah. I'm sure people are experiencing the same as me right now. And Deck, I'll come to you. It feels a bit like a derby's approaching.
Yeah.
It's that same feeling.
It does. To be fair, I didn't feel that nervous, and then we did the preview for the match. Was that yesterday?
Yesterday.
God, it seems a long time ago. But anyway, it was kind of after that I was just walking around the house thinking, no, it's kind of big game Tuesday. Like, do you know what I mean? And I all of a sudden was just getting more and more nervous. And then today, I've been at work, and every single person I've passed have went, what's your thoughts on Tuesday? And you're like, do you know what I mean? It's just like I just don't know.
You have changed your tune. The last bloody week we're already in the final talking to you, Stu.
Yeah, because it was far away, and then it was.
I've not really thought about it,
What?
I've not been like, nah.
Really?
I was reading this morning. It's the first League Cup semi-final, well, only the second ever League Cup semi-final. They beat Tottenham, obviously, in 76 to get to Wembley. And I thought, like, in my head, I'm thinking, it's still quite a new tournament, so that's not a bad 70-year-old tournament. Now it's in the 50s, 60s it started, so it's like not.
You must be at the first game.
Oh, you took us. Yeah, like it's mad that what and it's no secret that Newcastle are kind of are no successful team, or certainly since the war haven't been in the slightest bit with regard to kind of the accumulation of trophies and that. But to be that bad at a tournament for 70 odd years is like, it's almost impressive.
That's one thing that we're good at.
Like, literally,
good at losing.
We've been in the semi-finals of a tournament, and that's like, I reckon, like, I don't know. It's just mad. I think the Keegan years, the Bobby Robson years, we never got this far in the League Cup. All that Alan Pardew was that one great season, and
does that show how hard it is to do?
I don't know if it's how poorly we've done. I mean, I remember
it's a bit of both. I personally think it's a bit of both.
It's hard to do.
It is hard to do. It is,
but then
it's not easy. Like
when the final was Bradford against Swansea.
That was a one-off, though, wasn't it? If you think there's been loads of like,
well, yeah, I mean, but Wigan,
Liverpool, Arsenal's.
We've had bad draws, obviously, over the years. I remember one year I think we could do well this year. Maybe 10 years ago, actually, we played, and then we got drawn away to Man U in the first or second round. We're like, we're not getting, we got beat 1-0 in the end, I think. So we're not always, we do get bad draws, and then we get beat an awful lot of teams lower in the pyramid than we are.
100%, yeah.
Chevy Wednesday, Brighton.
Was Hull the League Cup in the Pardew? Was that league?
The
quarterfinals.
the
Rafa.
quarterfinals was
That was
Rafa.
the championship.
Was
Yeah.
Rafa? God.
Because but they had the fella from Norwich who got sent off. Oh, I can't remember what they called him now. He got sent off and got beat on penalties, but we played him off the park.
Right. Yeah.
Would really
They went down that.
I thought it was Pardew, but I'm probably thinking of the
Like
Pardew
thingy and goal,
headbutt.
didn't
It
we?
will.
Chris Buckenham. Not cruel.
Matt
The other one.
Sells.
Matt Sells.
They had Dear Mercy. They called him centre forward. Anyway, but Hull were terrible. We played them off the park and we got beat on penalties.
Right.
That was the day I got my pet hamster,
What was it called?
Mrs. Hankey. Rest in peace, Mrs. Hankey.
It's dead. It's in the bin with a rabbit.
No, we're buried her. Oh, she did actually.
Hey, Rafa and a hanky.
Our bones ended up in the bin. No, it was a scarf because I was a good mate. My Mrs. Hankey was a sad one. That.
Dead rabbit jokes, one for the frequent listeners there, isn't
It
it?
is like but no, that was, and just to be so poor in it, like it's mad. A team that's been in the top division, piss off, in the top division for as long as we have, in the top two divisions constantly. We've never been out of top divisions, and we've consistently failed. I think it's a little bit sad that we're there now. It's like the end of an era.
It's a good way to end it, though.
What, by beating Southampton? We're going to beat them.
So yeah, we've
I
already
mean,
done.
getting to the semi-final.
Don't you, Mark?
Getting there,
It's a hard
getting
game. You're getting ahead of yourself. Yeah.
It is a hard game.
So
Absolutely.
we've already done the match preview, but I think we're going to focus this recording on the upcoming week in the next 7 days because they're a
I don't like
huge
that.
7 days. Probably recent years, Mark, is this the most important game for Newcastle United?
For different reasons, because we've had a lot of important games over the year, but it's generally been horses have been nipping to stay up, and we've had to win for that reason. This is more of a celebratory reason that it's a big game. It could be huge in the way our club's going. It's our real first opportunity to have a crack and potentially get to a final. So from that point of view, it could be wonderful for that to happen. So when you look at it like that, yeah, it's huge, absolutely huge week. But you've still got to get there and do it.
Well, I think we have to just take stock a little bit of where we are. I think a lot of people, for example, I can't remember who it was, but I went on Twitter there and seen a post saying, "Is it time to be concerned that we've only scored one goal in the last 4 Premier League games and stuff like that?" And I'm thinking, whoa, we're third top of the Premier League and we're in the semi-finals of a cup. Like Jesus Christ, like. Let's just be really happy. Like, there's no reason to worry. There's no reason to be concerned.
I think you have to put the goal difference as well into that as well as a
100%. Of course, it's unbelievable. We've never had anything like that.
It still is a bit of a concern, though, isn't it? Obviously, you're not at panic stations and stuff like that. But when you think we're not scoring goals,
Yeah, but
but we're not conceding.
Yeah, we're not. Well, of course, and this is the other side of the argument. Is if like. You imagine if Pope doesn't pull that worldie off, Mitrovic scores that pen. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can see how good the defense has been, and there's absolutely no question how good the defense has been. But of course, along the way, you'll ride your luck a little bit. It just is what it is, right? That's football. But I still think like of just how amazing it's been, and I still say in such a short space of time because when nobody expected to be sitting third, and it's a funny one, isn't it? Because how said in these press conference today. I know one about the cup here, but you're going about the Palace game saying that we were all gutted, like we felt we had lost the game, and it was still a good point away from home. But even I felt like that when the whistle went, I was like, "Oh fuck," you know what I mean? And that, maybe that's just how far the expectation we've grown in such a short space of time.
It's probably once again it's because basically we've had so many chances in that game and not scored.
Yeah, a lot of chances. Yeah, well, quite wasteful. I thought Wilson had a header that he just put straight down the keeper's throat. Joe Linton passed a couple of the goalkeeper. So Maximin lashed that one at the back post that went out for a corner, but
Isaac header as well.
Mm-hmm. The keeper's made a few saves, but none of them have been as what the
Pope
save that Pope made 73rd, 74th minute.
Yeah, it didn't really test him.
Nah, it's the kind of save that if it goes in, it's a keeper's fault. Or kind of. So yeah, but we had a lot of chances, didn't really make much of them. So, but I thought our final ball was a little bit off again, as it has been from time to time over the past.
Yeah.
And see, now I've heard myself saying that there, and I'm like. I think one of the reasons that I'm not nervous at all about this coming week is because I just wasn't expecting to be in a cup semi-final already. And I think we're going to be in plenty more to come over the next
But now that we
20 years or so.
are there against a team which is said dead bottom of the Premier League,
yeah,
are you full of confidence going into this game?
No, not really.
No.
Not full of confidence. No, they've started to hit some good form.
If it was a Premier League game, would you be full of confidence?
Probably more so, yeah, because I think the cup. Eddie Howe kind of referred to this in his press conference today, where he said that it's like a break from the league, and it's often been said that the kind of league form goes out the window a little bit in cup matches because you haven't got those same pressures. You're not playing for points; you're playing for another game.
Yeah,
a progression in the cup. So, I think I would be more confident in the league because Southampton would be they're bottom of the league at the minute. Bottom of the Premier League. So they'd be looking at it going, "Oh, we must get a win here because we don't." Not a win because it's St Mary's in the first leg. So yeah, they've got to get a result. Let's say in the league because if they don't get a result, then where's the next home game could be? I don't know their fixtures. Next home game could be Liverpool or Arsenal or Man City. Someone who's doing really, really well. We're doing well, but someone who's doing really, really well as well. So in that regard, I would be more confident if it were a league match. And obviously, we're beaten 4-1 there in the league. Last league goal we conceded.
Different manager, that wasn't
it goes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was Hassan's at the time, wasn't it?
I still think that what you've kind of referenced there, I still think that puts a lot of pressure on them tomorrow because I feel that them will feel that way, that we have to win tomorrow.
Yeah,
I really feel that's how them will feel because I think even if we did lose tomorrow, right? Of course, if it wasn't like a 4-0 or something, but even if we got beat 1-0, all right, get you back at home.
That second leg was crucial, wasn't it?
I think it was, and I feel that honestly puts a lot of pressure on them that, shit, we've got to get a result here because if we go up there, they'll know it's going to be really hard coming here. So
I can see. I wouldn't say I'm massively confident. Not that I think we're going to get beat. I think we will go. I think we will get past them. But like you said, Decker, there, I think unless we get beat like 3-4-0 down there, I can see even if we get beat by 1 goal, we get beat 2-1. Let's say for argument's sake tomorrow night. Coming back and say the flags would be amazing at St James Park next week. Yeah. You've seen how quickly the tickets have gone on sale. I've sold out today. They've just announced
35,000 there was at one point in the queue.
Aye, they've just announced that there's going to be a small general sale allocation tomorrow morning, but they'll be gone. There'll not be a seat to be had in St James's Park next. It'll be loud. People are going to be. It's my first semi-final. No, it's not my second. I was at Old Trafford when I beat Sheffield United back in '98. So I was 16 then. Like I'm 40 now. It's a lifetime ago. It's a generation.
Man United Cardiff, not that one.
No, I didn't get that one. That's why I said that my last one was.
I was just reminding you in case you forgot.
6 years before that. No. So yeah. No, I'm pretty confident, but if it doesn't go our way, then I'm not like I'll not be that upset. We've had a nice time.
How important is a clean sheet tomorrow, Mark?
In general life.
It's not worse.
It's preferable, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if the clean
slightly.
sheet is important.
That's what I'll do with mine. If mine gets dirty, I'll turn it around.
I'll rephrase the question slightly. Do you think Eddie Howe and the lads go for it tomorrow? Or do you think they'll try and contain it and take that clean sheet and draw into?
I think minimum they'll want to draw. It's imperative not to lose that game.
Somebody with a dictionary.
Imperative. Would rather say important.
Sorry,
just as long as we don't lose, I think that's the important. But like Bestie just said, if it's 1 goal in it, you still gives you that hope that taking them back here that will do it. But you can then just see them sitting behind the ball and defending for their lives. And we've already seen this season. We struggle against teams that do that. So I think going down there and getting a result is important. And if we can come away from there with a lead in the tie, that'll be a massive thing for us. Because then they will absolutely have to come out and play against us here.
I think you'll set up like you set up every game. For the most part, every game, I think you set up a high press because that's what it's worked. It's what worked at St Mary's.
Would you make any changes?
I'll probably start with Isaac ahead of Wilson.
Yeah, I said the same.
Because I'm not kind of being the knee jerk, as it were. Like, but
can you believe we're saying that as well, though? Like, how much we love Callum Wilson.
I do love Callum Wilson as well.
Everyone does, and I'm hearing it more and more from people. Are like, I think I wouldn't play him this. Blah, blah,
yeah.
Very good. He hasn't scored in 8 games. And I get listen. I get all of these arguments. It's just I do find it mad sitting here thinking, because I know you're going to maybe say now you want to drop him or replace him due to
Yeah, no, it's not about dropping him. It's the horses for courses argument for me. Suiting. I know the tie more.
I still think the truth from you though really is form. That's why you want him to be replaced. You're not thinking, oh, there's 2 games in 4 days. And
No,
it's not really all that.
we've sat and talked about, very briefly, albeit, about the 1 goal in 4 games thing. Try Isak up front on his own, because when he's been brought on, not invariably, but for the most part, he's been brought on alongside Wilson. He's been brought.
Well, he did
on.
in the cup, didn't he? Started the first half,
And he was, he did.
and he had those couple of chances, yeah.
At Hillsborough, in a very weakened team, though, I hasten to add as well. But Isak's the kind of player that would be, he's happy at running a defender, so picking the ball up, taking it at him. And Southampton probably aren't preparing for that so much, because we haven't got that kind of. Miggy's not that kind of winger, because he's inverted. He plays the ball back to Trippier inside to Bruno quite a lot, makes that running behind. Joe Linton, ironically, probably is a bit more, because he is a kind of, he can get a ball in his left foot. He was like left-footed. So Maximin tends to be on the bench these days, so he doesn't kind of bring that up. So I think Isak, give him a go. He's not going to be terrible.
You know, listen, I'm certainly not saying that we shouldn't play him. I think I just find it hard when I've heard so many people today tell us, honestly, we shouldn't be starting Wilson on Tuesday. I'm thinking, whoa, like,
Are you
the
the other side of the fence because the credit that he's got with us at this moment in time?
Maybe I'm just trying to try and show faith in him, and I still feel that there's, Christ almighty, if you had that attitude, you wouldn't have took Chivas to the Euros in '96, because people strikers have bad runs of form.
He was great for Blackburn at the time.
Well, he was, but he was shit for England. But do you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I just feel like sometimes you can stick up for someone and go. Because I think how could do that. You might go to me, listen, I trust you. Number 9. Oh, it hasn't been great for you recently, but go out there and whatever. And it might not work. Don't get us wrong. However, having said everything I've just fucking banged on about, I actually don't think he'll play, because I am more the fence of 2 games in 4 days. Is a problem.
That'll come into it as well.
And I think that's more the argument. And in fairness, right, if you already held, that's how you would play it. Even if Howe did want to drop him due to the fact of not scoring any games and maybe not looking great, I'm not playing you this week because you played on Saturday and I don't want to risk it. It's an easy out, really.
It is. And
I'm just trying to wave the Wilson flag, and I'm just trying to defend him. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, no, I don't think he's been playing poorly particularly, but could that change be something that kind of enlivens them going forward a little bit?
Loads of people were saying, I don't play 2 in midfield, which he's never going to do, and then play Isak off Wilson, which he did against Fulham for the last.
Well, that's what he's been. That's what he's done when he's brought him on as a sub, hasn't
he?
The last 2 games.
Obviously, we had Maxi left, Isak behind Wilson.
That
front 4 was, turns me on. To be fair, it's electric, loads of pace there. But I think that's
a chase in the game.
Exactly, chasing the game or looking for you're not going to start the game.
There's a couple of comments from people saying it was a different story when Wood wasn't fine in the back of the net. But like I just mentioned, the deck there, I think the reason that people would tend to stick with Wilson is because he has got a history of scoring goals.
Wood scored the last 2 visits to St Mary's.
Well, we can't play him this time.
We call him just for this game.
I'll mention that again. Didn't he? That he's really not happy with getting rid of him.
Bit light.
Yeah, he's not happy. He was reading between the lines. I got that as well. There,
really doesn't. Every time he gets asked, he's not happy about it. But the first time he did mention how good financially it is for the club, and it is. It's a great deal. But he's not happy that we've got rid of him, because it does leave a very light. I mean, you've got one striker made a Balsa Wood, and then you've got Isak, who hasn't played for bloody.
Do you think that's just because there was a case where there's nobody lined up ready to come in?
100%, 100%. Maybe the bid might have took them completely by surprise. You know what I mean? It probably did. Probably picked up the phone and go, "We'll give you 2 million for a loan, then give you 15 million."
To be fair, it took the world of football by surprise, that didn't it?
Oh, great stuff!
Seemed to happen really quickly.
He must have been more the Nottingham Forest owner at that time. He must have been middle of the night now on the drink.
He did mention his conference today, though, that we were in discussion with a couple of clubs.
Yeah, and again, something else he's referenced as well. Twice he said it. We're not looking for like. He said that a few times. That just because Wood's gone into a striker doesn't mean necessarily. He's saying that we're going to get an attacking option.
Yeah, a goal scorer.
I don't know. I still think that pens more. Perhaps it is Gordon, And I've heard. I was listening to TalkSport this morning. It was or this afternoon. Sorry, and they had some transfer expert guy, and he says I know for a fact that Dan Ashworth really likes Gordon. And it's Gordon that's obviously. Sorry, apologise. It's Dan Ashworth that's been bringing his name in the conversation. Now, for me, he plays left wing, right? When I've seen him every single time, and I'm not so sure. But I didn't tread on my mate's toes. They're already tread on enough.
Told you.
So
he's got no toes left at this rate.
Well, so that concerns.
Gordon bandages.
Well, just because you mentioned him, Gordon. Gordon. Sorry, what's your thoughts on this? So it's split fan base already. And the kid he's only been linked with a move to Newcastle.
Chelsea as well.
It's
Chelsea,
it's a tough
Chelsea
one.
buying everyone.
It's a tough one because obviously I can only be honest, right? So when he was linked with Chelsea for $1 billion, whatever it was at the time,
60 million or so. wasn't it?
yeah. I was a bit surprised. I was like, I don't really see much. To me, he's a bit of a rat. Dives all the time. Certainly, there's a player in there. There's no question that. And I will always say how definitely has the ability as a coach to get the best out of players. We've seen it firsthand. But it wouldn't be on my list, like, if I'm being honest. It wouldn't be. But you might buy him and you might sit on the table 10 games later and go, it's the best thing I've ever made.
Yeah.
You don't know, but I'm just talking hindsight. Before the actions happened, I personally wouldn't.
When you look at his stats, his performance, what he's capable of, it ticks a lot of boxes from our point of view of what we're looking for. That flexibility in positions and stuff like that, of being able to play left wing, play more of an inside left. Even he's played through the middle occasionally for Everton. He does work hard.
Oh, Christ!
He works hard. He gets up and down that line, which is another advantage over that left hand side where we've struggled. So from that point of view and what he's capable of, then you can see why they're interested in him. Young Englishman, got that on this side, homegrown player. If we do become more successful, but as a person, he's a rat.
What do I mean as a person?
See, I don't
Do you
care.
mean,
It's the way
do
he
you mean
goes
as a
on.
player on the field?
Yeah,
rather than a
well,
person?
that's it. Sorry, yes, I
Might
should
be a
say,
very
because
nice
a lot
person.
of the
say
things
that
is that he is apparently a very nice kid
Yeah.
and stuff like that off the pitch and stuff like that. But we don't see that.
We seen that
see him-
firsthand when we played them.
Yeah.
Crikey, they were really going at each other. It was a trip. He had a go trip. Didn't he?
Shea came in,
Shea as well,
pulled
yeah.
in,
Ball came in as well.
But
Yeah.
as everyone was saying that, and I says, well, hang on a second. Wilson's the biggest Arsenal going, but we'll love him. And Wilson is. Let's just be very
Sure, I was.
yeah, he was.
Bellamy?
Shit,
Look at Bellamy.
I
But
love Bellamy, but he was
what I was saying
saying
about it is, for me, there's a difference between being a bit of a shithouse and just being a dickhead.
Well, right. Put him up against Bellamy. What's the difference?
He was a dickhead.
Yeah, he was. Unreal.
100%.
But you love him.
I do.
I loved him for what he did on the pitch, but he was a dickhead.
So there's a difference, Bessie, though, when it's the opposition player than when it's your player. People hate Callum Wilson.
Oh,
Fans will hate him.
If he never played for us, I would hate him. Jan Kabay, I'm looking at his picture there because
Kabay was a bit of a
why
dick as
not?
well, aye.
He was. I had red and white mates going like about how dirty. I was like, yeah, he's nice. He's just combative, and you do with you have that different viewpoint, that black and white glasses and all that. Like, and you see players differently. I couldn't give a monkeys about how Anthony Gordon conducts himself on the pitch as long as it's within the rules.
Well, that's for me. That is the thing, because he does love to try and buy a penalty, buy a free kick.
Look
It's
at how
the
we are
cheating-
this season. We
the
are
cheating bit that I don't like.
what the kings of gamesmanship this season. Every team we play against, we fall out with our supporters because we're wasting time. We've got Jacob Murphy going down with cramp after having been on for 5 minutes and stuff like that. Like, it's what we do. He'll be bang up for that. He'll love it.
I haven't seen much of him this season, but I know Everton have been very poor.
So is he.
I don't know.
That's the
He's been
issue.
poor,
He's
so
been
that
poor.
doesn't really matter. Yeah,
That's why with the £60 million thing, I'm thinking like, well,
it'd be like 30 now.
I would, if they're looking to pay that much for him, I'd be, well, not concerned. It's not my money, you know what I mean? If that's what I want to spend. But I don't know how well spent that money would be. But
the talking 30, 40 apparently is what they're looking for this time round, which is, you would think, is a bit more realistic than.
are they talking in this window? So as in like in the next week, basically.
Aye. Well, that's what that transfer guy on Talksport said. I believe there'll be a bid definitely coming before the window ends.
I think we've I know we've seen Gordon in the Premier League, right? And I agree with you is that when we did play Everton, he was a tosser, right? But if that's on our side, we're backing him to the hills.
Yeah.
Backing him to the hills.
I think
100%.
that Howard wouldn't stand for that side of things, and
What side
wouldn't
of things?
be around the cheating side of things.
Diving.
The diving.
And I mentioned you the other day.
And that
Miguel
kind of
Miron
thing.
likes to
I
dive.
know
Yeah,
he
but
likes to dive.
not as much as
But
he used
Bruno-
to. I think
Bruno
he's
wins a
taken
free
that.
kick.
I think he's taken that out of his game.
He's still, but even when he was doing it
yes,
for
going
us,
down easily.
we
and
weren't
stuff
sitting
like
there
that.
calling him a rat.
If you think Eddie Howe's going to try and tell him not to do that, mate, you're mad. Eddie Howe isn't
I
going to
think
say,
he would.
look, you know, you can't be doing that. It's against the spirit of the game.
He'll keep him on the right side of the law.
I think-
You don't want. Why would you want to
The
be
right side of
associated
the
with? Why would you want to be associated with a cheat?
If you win, you don't care.
I do.
But
I'll take the moral
no
high
offense,
ground on this one.
we've been doing it for a while, mate. At the minute, really, you've got Lascelles stopping people taking throw-ins from the bench. You've got someone trying to pick up the ball and kick the ball away. That's
the right side of the law, but just a little bit.
It's not. He
it's
got
not.
booked
He's got
up here.
booked.
But it's not. Eh?
Nick Pope got booked for time wasting. That we're all at it. You kind of be sit there all holy up now saying, "Oh, Newcastle play," because that's what we do.
Callum Wilson was scuffing the pen spot.
That was naughty.
Or swines.
I'm
was
not
the wrong
convinced
side
that
of the
happened
law.
because I haven't actually seen any footage. Everybody's saying, "Oh, he was definitely scuffing
did
the,
that. He
the
was,
penalty spot," but I've never seen it.
I think what is interesting, though, and it goes back to what you very first said, is you're talking 30, 40 million pound bringing someone in, an Englishman, and it's really split the fan base. And that, I haven't even put a bid in yet, but there is a lot of people who don't want him.
But it's because of his attitude and
I know.
side of things.
I get it. I'll also say, though, what has he actually done? Personally speaking, I see he's a quick player and wins a lot of penalties.
He's won a couple of cheap free kicks.
Yes, that's what I see him do.
Pretty much.
I don't. It isn't. Someone might comment in the stats saying, "What you're telling what he's done, isn't that?" I haven't seen many assists from him. Certainly, haven't seen many goals from him. When I've, you know what I mean.
Not this season.
I'm gonna go next
So
season.
last season he got bored of Everton's player of the season, didn't he?
Fair enough. That's great. That is good. Huh?
Talking
Well,
about
I
low
suppose,
bars.
let's be fair. In fairness, I know Chelsea are idiots now for buying players, but if he was linked with Chelsea for 60 million, I mean, there has to be a player there.
But
It
that's
just has
it,
to be.
yeah.
It
But
just has to
in the same breath, the season before, Longstaff was quoted as going to
And there's a
Man
player in there.
United for.
Yeah. But the thing with Chelsea as well,
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
good
It's just
yeah.
drawn it out, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how much they've just bought that Mudryk who plays the left hand side. They've got
He looked a hell of a player at the weekend, didn't he?
Really good.
They,
huh?
I can't imagine that the Chelsea would actually be looking at him. Surely,
No, not now. This was beforehand.
yeah.
You know, and there's rumours. Who was it? Was
But
it?
he's still being linked, apparently.
There was someone that did this.
It makes sense, doesn't
Him and Onana, the pair of them. What's his name?
So to swing this question back to you then. So obviously, I was saying that Wood's gone, so it's not going to be like for like. It doesn't mean it's going to be like for like. We're an attacking player. Do you feel that it should be like for like, and we should actually be going for a striker, or does it matter if he's a winger or he can play forward?
I think the thing is now that Callum Wilson's your first choice. He's like close second. What sort of player are you going to bring in as a striker? That's going to be your third option. You're going to have to look young.
You're probably not going to get a better standard than Chris Wood, to be honest with you. Who's going to be happy to be third choice?
Do you think it was more of a financial issue than getting rid of Chris
I
Wood?
think so. Yeah. I think it was £15 million purported and whatever, he's 70, 80 grand off the wage bill as well. It's a big thing, that. Like, I mean,
it's unbelievable.
Chris
Considering
Wood,
his age as well,
Chris
you
Wood. If I still say if he didn't sign that season, there's a good chance we'd have gone down. It sounds tough to say that we're finished 11th for last season, but he was a massive part of them staying up where he played. Like, yeah, only got a couple of goals, but was it 25 the release clause that we got him from Burnley for?
Yeah.
So it's cost with £10 million plus with his wages. I think that's a year later. He's gone to. Well, he's not gone to Forest, but he's at Forest now. And if he plays well, it was really vague.
It was depending on
certain
stats,
conditions.
It was if it's
The
successful.
conditions are met.
It was stat based.
Yeah,
Well, if it's goals, he's
It'll
going
be
back.
it'll be
No
number
offense.
of games
Come on,
played.
you'd have thought if
won't
they
it?
stay up,
Yeah, if they stay up.
yeah,
But if that's the case, you're getting 15 back, then they paid £2 to £3 million loan fee.
yeah.
It's cost you £7 million to have them.
I think that's
Which is-
free.
which is-
It's a
Hey,
no-brainer.
for a
It's
year
an
and it'll
absolute
stay up.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
And
it's
now,
no-
I mean,
no
we're not going to
problems.
go down this. It seems very unlikely that we'll go down this season. We've got 39
I'd
points
be
now.
surprised.
If just to take it back to Gordon very slightly though, Mark, I think we'll have to put a lot of trust in Eddie Howe and Dan Ashworth and everybody else who's behind the scenes, because since Eddie Howe's came in and the scouts and Ashworth has arrived, there hasn't been a single signing that has done poorly. Not one.
Some pressure there, like it.
Not one.
No, it's
It's been very
it's
good recruitment.
uncanny, really, when you think of it, of how well they've adapted into it. But that's what, when you spending that amount of money on a coaching and scouting network and all of the work that goes into the statistics around how they play, how they fit into the developmental side of things and stuff like that, then that's what you want to see. We've obviously seen it down at Brighton. They've just done it again this weekend, selling Trossard to Arsenal.
Yeah.
And it takes a little while to harvest that and build it, but you would just hope that we're going in that same sort of direction. Obviously not looking to then, cash in and bank on them. We want to keep a hold of them and be a success.
Would you say that Target's been a success since he signed permanent?
He's been injured, hasn't he?
But
He's
even
never
then,
really got a...
That's the thing, hasn't. We're playing the 6'7" centre half at left back, who's done brilliantly. Don't get it wrong, but then
Who did play left back a lot of the times for Brighton, though? Remember?
I know, but he wasn't signed as left back, was he? He was signed as a centre half.
I think with Target, I think you have to look at it that he hasn't really had a chance since signing full time because how well Dan Burns done.
So that,
But if you're looking at overall, including the loan,
including the
100%,
loan,
yeah.
certainly. But since he signed, I'm just less convinced because even before he was fit, he wasn't getting a game.
I think that's just
Dan
more,
Burn was doing
more
so
the
well.
way, more the way that we set up. It suits playing Dan Burn at left back, like as we've spoken about a few times on podcasts. It means Trippier can bomb up on the right. We drop the 3 at the back.
I just to go back, I actually honestly think Target was a really big part of
Last season he was.
Last season
really
really
was.
yeah.
Every game I went to, I just thought he's class him like, and I cannot believe that he doesn't play now. Like thinking of how good them performances were, I would have never expected him not.
I've been surprised by how little, because when he signed in the summer,
Yeah,
there's those talk that we're looking at our left back, and was
That's
it
right,
Lodel who went to
Yeah.
he go Forest? No, from Atletico Madrid, left back. He went somewhere anyway. I think it might be in Forest. And we were kind of linked with this one and that one, and we said, "I'll get Target back." And it felt
I think we were open arms at the fact that we mightn't get him back
that's
in.
right, aye. And he just out this season's been a bit. I don't see underwhelming because he hasn't been fit and all that, but I just thought.
I just think in different circumstances, he'd be your first choice left back, and you'd expect he would be putting in the same performances that we know he's capable of, and we've seen last year.
Dreadful in the cup against was it Palace? He was really, really poor.
It's that one game in.
And I was waiting for someone to say that
6-7,
because
isn't
I'm
it?
going to
That's the
throw
thing.
Jamal Lewis back at you. Just one game.
Jamal Lewis has been present today. He signed.
He hasn't like.
No,
He
he
has,
was, when he first came, he was.
Yeah, before he got that
He had
injury.
one good game.
Before he got that injury, he had a couple of canny games, but then he's been knackered since.
To be fair,
Please, you
to be
can't
fair,
compare those
No,
two.
I'm just.
Target might have turned into Kennedy. There's no guarantees, is there?
I,
But you
I
would,
think we're being harsh on Target. Yeah, like
I know. I'm saying it like you just don't know this season because we haven't seen enough of him.
Yeah.
But
That's
just
incredibly
because
harsh
of,
to say because we haven't seen. He might have been Kennedy.
No, I'm just saying,
Might
like
be Maldini. now.
in other
know,
circumstances,
dude?
it could have been. We don't know. It's
Anyway,
unlikely.
Where did this even start from? We went from
Centre
somewhere.
forwards from
Centre
Simon.
forwards.
Him saying have all of the signings been a
have.
success, which I think they have.
this is what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
Stir the pot.
I think
Yeah.
Target has been, yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't been not a success.
Well, because he has. He's barely
He's
played.
definitely been a success.
On loan, as a permanent signing now.
What about Isaac? I think Isaac will be the one that, if you could have mentioned that, I think Isaac will be the one where you'd be questioning it because we haven't seen much of him either.
Scored 3 and 5.
We haven't saw much of him.
It's
It's waste of money. That money he hasn't even played.
I would agree that we haven't seen much. I'd like to
I'm
have seen
just
more
really
by now.
shocked
like,
that
but-
you've brought Lewis into this conversation and try to compare him to Target.
Well, yeah, because Matty Mark said that.
Well, don't be blaming me about Lewis's performances.
No, I'm saying you said that Target played poor against Palace, but it's a one-off. And well, Lewis was terrible against Sheffield Wednesday. That's a one-off as well.
No, it's not. Lewis had one good game, so that's the one off.
But when was Lewis's last
No,
game?
that's harsh.
When was Lewis's
That's
last game
harsh.
at all before Wednesday?
I
Well,
don't know.
like-
But I think let's be fair.
But that's not the only game that he's had, is it?
No.
It is this
It
season.
is. It literally
this
is.
season.
Yeah, but
We're going back like
when Target
when
played
he's
over
been
that,
in the
over
team
that
and all
loan
that,
period,
yeah.
I've never seen Lewis.
He was
play
great.
at that standard.
I think Target's a better player than Lewis. Don't get us wrong, but it just feels like the criticism of Lewis and the
and
criticism
Target
and the
and Dan Burn.
lack thereof of Dan Target is based on the same kind of. Oh, he's only played one game. Well, so that doesn't mean you can play one game and be great.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to change it a bit here. It has nothing to do with signing necessarily because he was already here. The player who has surprised us, who has done nothing, is Ryan Fraser.
Yeah,
And it was mentioned, someone asked him in the press comments, and
Oh, that's harsh.
what?
no, he's been poor this season when he's played. I think.
All the
Great
best
last
to you.
season.
All the best to you.
Really,
Well,
really
well,
good last
that's
season.
what I want to clarify.
Can I just write just before?
Do you mean
just
as
hang
in
on, just before you two
forever?
start, right? Just before you two start. If anybody's got any questions, send them in. We'll go through them at the end, just like we always do. Carry on, boys.
So in what
Since
what
House come-
period?
si-
From
si-
signing or
no? Well, he was pretty dross when he got sent off against Sheffield United, and people didn't want to play again, you included. But then we adapted, and he worked hard for about 5 or 8 games, and then he did work
half a
really
season
hard.
at least?
He did half a season's 8 games, isn't it? And then since. Well, I honestly probably maybe a few months after How Come, and he had a few decent games. Then since then, off the map. And I honestly
he
thought,
played
listen,
right wing for the whole of the
Didn't care.
last season, and he
Didn't
was brilliant on that right
I
hand side.
honestly thought, given the summer, getting him fit with Howe knows him very, very well, I thought Fraser would have played. I'm not saying he would play every game. I just think he would have, come off the bench, he would have had an impact.
This season, I'll
And-
give you that. Yeah, this season, I'll give you that.
I think apart from that, apart from the back end last season, I think you've got to call him a failure.
I think
Newcastle.
Well, that's what I'm
he's
saying,
been
like, you
nowhere
can't-
near what I thought he would have been. When we signed him, I was so excited.
I mean, he's
really
been
was.
here 4th season now, am I right? 3rd season now, maybe.
Do you think it's because we were hoping that we were going to get Fraser and Wilson performing well together?
I think that was a part of the reason that people were so excited to have them was how well they played together the year before they went down with Bournemouth, like the pre-COVID season. And it was kind of, it left a sour taste with a lot of Bournemouth fans and apparently Eddie Howe, how he left because he didn't sign the contract, which meant that when the season picked up again in June 2020.
July, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was Father's Day. We played Sheffield United, ironically. And he just didn't turn up. I'm not signing a contract because they don't want to get injured because the contract was very Michael Owen-esque, I thought.
It was poor, yeah.
So that there were already question marks there. People were saying, oh, well, he was great. That, at the time, saying, oh, he was great 18 months ago. But here's a concern. And he was injured a lot. Playing for Scotland, he plays for Scotland against Israel like every weekend, apart from the
He's always fit for Scotland, but never for us. Yep.
I just feel when I watched him play, I'd never questioned when he was certainly not under the Bruce. It was just all horrendous, really. Then, but when he was going through his good run of form, where everyone was waxing lyrical about him, I just felt it was just because he was working hard. Oh, he's working really, really hard.
Yeah,
that's not what I signed Ryan Fraser for. That was not what I was expecting. I was wanting Ryan Fraser to be creative, to score goals, to assist.
What games?
I never see any of that.
Those
that
games towards the end last season, where like after 70, 75 minutes, you could see it was like he'd run himself into the ground. He was not that.
Yeah.
Ironically, the best game he played for, I think prior to that was we played Burnley and we got a penalty off Nick Pope. Which I think you said wasn't a penalty at the time, because he kind of came across him and I remember
maybe not. I can't remember.
We beat them 3-0, 3-1 at St James's. I think Wilson scored a penalty. Fraser might have scored, and that was when I thought, oh, here we go. He's turned up now. Nothing. Then was when Howe came in and started getting the results towards the end of last season, as we say. So overall, I think it's weird because when he played well last season, or when he was working hard, he did really, really well, and was a big part again, and was staying up last season. Overall, though, I don't think you can say in this season in particular. I was like you, exactly watching the preseason. I thought, right, he's going to be a big part of. Yep. We need a left back. We need a right winger because Miggy wasn't going to score 9-10 goals in the season and this and that and the other.
But that's where Ryan Fraser was playing, wasn't it? When he was having his good run, was on that right side of midfield, and I think the fact that the form that Miggy's in is what has dictated that Ryan, he hasn't got anywhere near the starting lineup.
Jacob Murphy's miles.
But when he's played, Jacob Murphy's.
And the point I'm trying to get at here, if you told me that Fraser couldn't get ahead of Murphy, I'd be like, you fucking talking about?
Yeah.
But that's how far, clearly, Fraser's fallen off.
And was that not also how far Murphy's came?
Murphy's come on really well. He's come on a lot.
I think it's both. You look at both those.
Well, listen,
the only thing I can remember recently is when I think it was Fraser and Longstaff both left the ball. That's the only thing that's springing in my mind.
Was that Man U?
Yeah, then Ronaldo absolutely went and wiped him out, just ran into him.
Must be the back end last season, that case. That was was that the game where Joe Linton had that? That was Joe Linton's game, so that's like a year and a half. Wait, no, a year, Christmas last year.
The only thing I can remember Fraser been involved in recently.
It's got to be difficult as a player coming into a team that settled and having to.
But it
wasn't when Fraser arrived.
Fraser was playing. Fraser, you just said Fraser was.
Oh, last season, last season.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. But he got a good run of games, didn't he? He was playing week in, week out, and stuff like that. Where I'm saying, like this season, because of the form that the players that are in the team are in, it's difficult for anybody to come in and just pick up where they're. I know at the start of the season,
So
but then we didn't expect Miggy to start the way he did in pre-season.
He might have been injured
and just carry that on.
He hasn't even played in cup games, has he? Either. I don't even.
He's had a couple of games. He's had a couple of games.
But at the start of the season, when the team weren't, we drew a lot of games, and kind of we were sitting here going, "Oh, it all depends on the game." And was Liverpool the defeat in the end? Turns out. But that's when Fraser was getting his chances, and he just wasn't taking them.
I just think it's just been surprising. That's what I'm saying. It's been surprising that under Howe, I just expected more.
But that's one thing that this winter they've said. Oh well, if he wants to go, I mean, that Howe hasn't, because Howe doesn't say so.
No.
But it's been said that he's one of the ones that, like him, Darlow, Wood, Shelby, I've seen mentioned about. I'd be surprised if Shelby went. Like, but if the money comes in, he'll be gone. Like, because he's not going to play, because you've got Miggy on the right hand side.
So
you've got Jacob Murphy, who's
Again, it's that with Murphy, it's the flexibility. He can play left or right, can't he?
It's so hard work. And we shared a thing in my group this week about the goal against Fulham
yeah.
and how hard he works to get the ball back on halfway, then bring it forward, and then you've got that interplay with
brilliant interception,
overlaps Trippier, and then he's there. And then I don't think he got mentioned, but if Isak doesn't get that header, Murphy's behind him, he probably would have put it wide.
Hit the post, he would have.
He loves hitting the post.
I'm going to jump straight into some of the questions here and try and bring it back on track. Get away from Ryan Fraser.
We're going to talk about Palace game as well.
No, we're not talking about Palace game.
Poor Jamal Lewis.
So this one is from Fish and Rods, and it's to you, Decker. He says, "Did Decker have his hair dyed blonde when the takeover happened?" Yes, he did.
I did. Yes, I did.
He did. He said,
"Why?
If so, it's a good luck charm."
Oh, so
you know what to do.
Nice. My head was bleeding.
It was off the back of the Euro.
You've had it done a few times, haven't you?
I did it for the Euros.
You did when Foden did it.
Yeah, and I just kept it because I don't know, summer I'd like it.
You're aging now, though, Decker, so it's not long before you end up looking like Scooter.
These bits here are quite long.
They're grey, mate. They're white. I'm white. I'm going grey.
So Decker, I was saying that's a solid no.
No, I don't think so, no.
It's more of a summer colour, isn't it?
What if we get to Wembley?
It has no relevance. Okay. Do you know what I mean? If Gaza played,
Bruno's got his hair blonde.
Oh well, actually, it's got relevance. It's got relevance.
Joe Linton as well, isn't he? Yeah, dark again now.
I mean, he goes between red, blonde, pink, doesn't he?
Right. We might have to see who scores in the semis.
We'll leave that
He'll
one.
come in with dreadlocks and a shave.
But it's a good luck charm because, to be fair, we got taken over when I had it. So I get the point.
Next one is from Josh Stockton, who once again sent in a donation. So thanks very much, Josh. He says, "Hi lads, hope you're well. Do you think we could potentially break the Premier League record for the least amount of goals conceded in a season?" Goes on to say, it currently stands at 15, set by Chelsea under Mourinho in 2004-5.
Unbelievable.
Bestie.
We could, because we've conceded, 11? I don't think we're going to, but
how many? Is it 11? Is it 11?
We've conceded about 1 every 2 games.
There's no chance.
I don't think. Well, it's not. We've still got.
We're only halfway through the season.
Well, it's only 8
so that'll be 22
8.
conceded in that case. If you double it, if you extrapolate that, you know. So I think it's possible, but I don't think we will. I think there's, as well as we're defending, and we still are defending really well. We don't look like Palace at the weekend. That one great save by Pope, notwithstanding. Didn't look like conceding. Fulham the weekend before, Fulham were a good side. We're giving Tottenham a hard time now. Didn't look like conceding against them really either.
Yeah, I agree.
Pope, I was going to say, doesn't always look like he's got a lot to do. He's got the highest save percentage in the league, so that's making a liar of it straight away. I just feel, I don't know if it's just, again, the hangover from the Ashley. There's something, I don't feel like something's going to go wrong, but things are going to get harder before the end of the season. We're going to have a stickier patch,
which is understandable.
I know. I said I wasn't. I know. I mentioned right at the start there about people saying they're concerned about this and things like that. Like, this is just. It's just a spell that you have in a season.
Yeah.
When you are not elite, you know, Man City's been losing games. I mean, there shouldn't be really, but the elite wouldn't struggle in this way. But we are just on this journey of we're changing, we're evolving, aren't we? And we're going through a little bit of a sticky patch scoring goals. All right, so be it. But like it happens, right?
It's class that we're sticky patch and scoring goals coincides with the point where we haven't conceded a goal since like autumn.
But the back of the question, if you're saying we've conceded 11 in the records, we're going to concede more than 4 in the next 18 games.
Yeah,
right.
And Callum, if you look at Callum Wilson was pretty similar to the likes of Haaland. Haaland hadn't had a decent game since the World Cup either. He went and bagged a hat trick.
That's football, isn't it? Because he could, you know, he might start them on and we win 1-0 and he scores it, or 2-0 and he scores both.
Yeah,
and everything was.
He's capable as well. That's the thing. He's not a bad striker. He's not scoring many goals.
What I will say, right, and I think someone referenced this in our chat, and I have to agree with it. Is I don't think at times we're committing enough people up there. You know, at times I feel sometimes he's really isolated. Now, obviously, his first touch hasn't been great and things, blah 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 blah, but. Just a lot of times I feel like we're played up there and he's literally just him. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how you can change that. But
there is occasions where that happens, where he is isolated. But I also see it where we've got loads of people forward, but we just won't make a killer pass or can't pick a pass. We almost want to try and walk it into the box and into the goal.
It's a little bit similar to how we used to defend against teams when there's that many bodies in there. It's just hard to get the ball, the touch, and the shot away.
So why won't somebody just take a long range shot?
Because Longstaff
except
does.
Sean Longstaff. Except Sean Longstaff.
It is surprising because I think, we've seen it for months now. It feels that this build up on the right hand side, the triangles and stuff like that. Every other team now, you watch a couple of our games and you're like, okay, right, this seems to be
then it just goes across the front of the box from one side to the other, then it'll come back across, and it's like.
But there was some of the football we played on Sunday. I still say it was very, very good. Honestly, the passing in that was just brilliant.
Controlled it.
It was just that final ball, wasn't it? It wasn't that we missed it. We didn't really create many chances, but we really created opportunities, big opportunities, and it was just that final ball or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll reference it again, and I'll get wrong here, but Willock was full of running. I'm never gonna ever criticize someone for running, right? But goodness me, if that had been Maxi with some of his final balls and that, Twitter would have been on fire, man. Would have been in flames. But I go on there and everyone's Willock, damn hard, he's still unlucky to come off. I am telling you now, if that had been Maxi bursting down there and then crossed it or almost falling over like Bambi, they'd be going, what's he doing? He's shite, he's got any end products. But sometimes there's different bars, I don't know. But it just seems to be people get hit with different sticks.
Which leads us to my next question. I'll come to you, Mark. It is for all forward, but I'll address this one to you. It's from Fish and Rods. He says, if it's your decision, do you bring Maxi or Isak in tomorrow, or both?
Isak 100%. I would play him, as we mentioned at the start. Just the way the game will go, I think that we'll have more opportunity to hit them on the break. As Bestie said, kind of the way that we might approach is that more running at them and getting at them, which I think would suit Isak better. I'm not seeing Callum Wilson running the channels as much as he previously had and stuff like that, which I don't know could just be a hangover from his tiredness and getting over his injuries. So that for me is a no-brainer. The left-hand side, it's more of an issue because it's not just the bringing Maxi in. It's the changes that you have to make to get him into the side, and
that's what it does to the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think the work rate and understanding that Willock and Joe Linton have got interchanging with each other on the left-hand side, the protection that they then both offer kind of on the break and stuff like that. That's a key bit in there that allows, a lot of what happens on the right-hand side of the pitch to occur. But you take Maxi on a day where he's got a space, and if they're coming at when you get a ball and you want him to pick it up and run, there's nobody that you'd rather have doing that. But then you're going to have the issues of you needing to get people up there and supporting.
I think the issue with you fit him in the team, I'm not saying this is what should happen, but theoretically, I think you can play him instead of Willock and have Joe Linton sitting deeper, no problem.
So do you know what I would do? And I say the same thing every single week.
Who would know what you would do?
11 Maxis.
That team on there. I say it every week.
Hang
on, we need to keep reminding you what that team
all
is.
You've got to do is, right, Longstaff has been brilliant. He runs around the world in one game of football, covers more mountains than anyone. Drop Longstaff and put Willock to the right of the three, Bruno in the middle, Joe Linton left of the three, and then obviously Maxi gets his start. And Joe Linton can easily come across and cover for Maxi, as he did in this game. That is the team that I would go with. I really would. And Longstaff's been brilliant. He's worked really, really hard. But,
So you've got an issue of dropping Wilson, who's not in a great run of form, but you've got no qualms about dropping Longstaff, who's probably in his best form of his life.
All right. So would you
argue best form of his life since he's low?
So would you rather play Willock or Longstaff? That's what I'm giving you. No other option. Would you rather play Willock or Longstaff in a game of football?
Whereabouts?
Well, not in goal, in the centre of the field.
But Willock's not really playing in the centre, is he? He's playing that right. Longstaff's playing right-hand side of the two in midfield, isn't he?
Would you play Willock to the right, wherever you want to play him? Longstaff, you've just mentioned right of the three, yeah.
That's where Longstaff's been
would
playing.
You rather play Longstaff there or Willock?
Longstaff, based on what we're seeing at the minute.
Right. Okay. Well, I wouldn't. I would rather play Willock personally, and I've always said I'd much rather have Joe Linton in midfield, in that centre midfield role, because I think when he plays out left.
But he's still playing very well. It's Willock that's playing. Willock's playing 80% of the time out on the left.
I'd say they're interchangeable. Best he referenced Joe Linton doing a pass back. That came from him playing left wing, in my opinion. Oh, what a goal that is.
The two interchange a lot, but you definitely see Willock more out on the left-hand side than Joe Linton.
Maybe, I think if someone I've noticed Joe Linton doing quite a bit recently is getting down and getting the ball with his left foot. These last 2-3 games, maybe at least once a game, he's got the point where it looks like he's running the ball out of play, and just gets his foot around it in time with his left foot and it brings it back. And so he's to be doing that, he's got to be playing on the left-hand side. He's got to be playing in a position.
And listen, I just feel there the last couple of minutes there, I've just knocked Joe Linton. He's been unbelievable, man. I've sat around this table and I've said he is absolutely incredible. And you never, ever, ever drop Joe Linton, period. So that's why I just feel, and I'm saying horses for courses, you mentioned with Wilson there. That's why I just feel, to the degree, right, we have struggled to create opportunities. We have struggled to break an opposition down for the last 4 Premier League games, in all fairness. And that's all I'm saying is I just think Maxi could maybe get a start. Give him a game, give him 90 minutes and see what happens. Because I don't think, I just think it's the right time. But of course, I'm going to say that because I'm a fan of him, man. I get that.
Do you not think looking at, see, for me, if looking at these games,
bottom of the Premier League,
I'd be more inclined to play Maxi next week at home
maybe,
versus this week away.
If we were playing Man City with them, I'm not saying I would start Maxi because I'd be thinking of, how come I just feel, and this may be very old school attitude, but I just feel, I think he would really hurt them. I just feel he could hurt them, and I think it's something we haven't been doing to teams. It's proven we haven't scored anybody goals. Is that we're having loads and loads of good, possession and stuff like that, but we just haven't really been able to unlock the door. And I just feel Maxi can do that.
It's that balance between keeping things tight, keeping things battling and combating in the middle of the park versus.
We discussed it last week. What you would lose with Longstaff not being on that field.
Yeah.
And it's the amount of pitch that he's covering.
A huge amount. I think you could say it, not the same because not everyone covers the same amount, but I think that
13.5 kilometers was
that
the stats last game. Sorry, the one before.
Fulham. I think you the problem with bringing some Maximan in for Willock, for Joe Linton, whomever, Longstaff, and having a reshuffle is that Sir Maximan, the likelihood isn't going to give you 13.5 kilometers in a game.
No, we don't need him to out there, though, do we?
Well,
we need 13 kilometers in the middle. We need everywhere.
Oh yeah,
and I think
Miggy's always up there in the top distance cover.
Yeah. I think Willock's got a hell of an engine on him. He can. I mean, obviously, of course, would be asking him to do that in a different way because obviously, currently his engine is just blasting down the left hand side, of course. And
I don't think Willock would find himself in the same positions that Longstaff does to break things.
Longstaff's very, very intelligent.
He's just got I don't know whether he necessarily purposely does it or he just always finds himself in those.
It could be instinct.
Those kind of that's.
I see the ones he finds on the edge of the box. I find them ones as well.
But I forget it was who said it now. But the problem we're going to have in the future is that you said you never dropped Joe Linton. At some point, we are going to drop Joe Linton. 100%, yeah. But you've got to, when you bring someone in, it's going to be someone who, if it's not someone who replaces that work ethic with the same one, it's going to be someone who offers something even more. And the problem is fighting those players, getting them in the team. The 11, the squad we've got now, the 25, whatever. In 5 years' time, that's going to look totally different. In the next few years, they're all one by one going to be replaced by. Well, maybe it's not Isaac because he's a young lad and he's just starting out. But the vast majority of them are going to be. Longstaff's going to be gone. Pope's going to be gone. Botman probably not. Shea will be.
Still there.
Trippier will be. Byrne will be. Byrne's in his 30s now. Joe Linton. Willock, I love Willock, but is he going to be good enough to? I had a conversation a while ago. They're all going to be replaced if we look to kind of proceed. With the exception, as I say, of Isaac, Botman. I think they're all going to be in the last 5 years.
Bruno
maybe it's Pope because Bruno probably here. But so we've got to kind of, it's that sentimentality thing as well, where you think, well, he was there. I love Longstaff because he came through as a really young lad. It kind of went bad for him. I've read the article, or was it an interview that I read with him about how much he taught him his dad helped him, stuff like that. But at the same time, I think, well, was he 26? He's not this young. He's going to be great when he's older. He's now a Premier League age. Yeah. He's not going to play for England by the looks of things. Is he as good as he's going to get, It
was a bit of the conversation that they had on Match of the Day last weekend was around Longstaff and his performances. And the issue that you've got is, yes, you can look at him and you can go out and replace him with a technically better player.
Yeah.
Somebody that can pass the ball better, shoot better, that kind of thing. But are you going to then be able to get that technically better player giving you what he gives you in the energy, the commitment, the drive and stuff like that?
Exactly
it's that combination of those two things that's
a problem. You need. Not a problem with bringing Sir Maximin in because Sir Maximin isn't a problem to me. But when he comes in, what you lose from Joe Linton and Joe Willock in the closing down, which is how we've won games by pressing high. Look how we pumped Brentford. It's in James's. That was all through that. And pretty much every game we've won or been successful in this season, it's been a result of a really high press, forcing defenders to make mistakes, forcing midfielders, goalkeepers to make mistakes. If St. Maximin isn't doing that part of it, then I don't see him being selected to do the part that he does really well, where he picks the ball up deep and kind of almost on a break. He seems to be at his best. We can say, right, two defenders on toast, no problem.
And he's not really going to get that break in play when we're dominating games.
No, because that's another thing. Teams will they'll compress, they'll sit narrow and tight, and they'll, right, you've got to play through us, which again, things he is capable. He had that shot against Fulham that just went past the post.
I suppose, yeah.
And that's why I think next week is more so for me when you'd probably look to get him in there.
The more I think of it, the more I think he'll stick with the same team.
He will, and this is the thing. We've sat and guessed the team so often, and we'll see the pair. That's the same as last week.
I think it'll be exactly the same
because
it probably will be.
It's 4 days after the Palace game, which obviously is a bit tight, but we don't play the weekend.
Yeah,
and Southampton do.
Yeah.
So we've got Southampton away, Southampton at home. That's our next 2 games.
And I think that team as well, by the way, if that is the team, that team is good enough.
Oh, certainly.
Certainly. Absolutely good enough.
Yeah, there's a great comment by El Grande Salmon, which I'll put on the screen. He says that he's not picking Alan St. Maximin away from home in 2-leg semi against a young team who press City relentlessly. They performed really well against Manchester City, and we're not giving them enough credit. Yeah. We're thinking we're just going to go down there and run the show.
Not all of us.
I think it'll be far from it. I think that first goal is crucial. If we get an early goal, then that's maybe when the floodgates might open because they've got no choice to come out and attack at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I just feel every time I watch it, I just feel we really do command the ball so well, and I really thought that against Palace because I honestly didn't expect that. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. And we're really, really commanded that ball.
I think we've been frustrated at Palace that often during the year. I remember in the
every
game
season we played them this season.
The drew 0-0 every game, man. The Willock goal, but the Pardew season we got beat like 5-1, 5-2 down there. We got absolutely thumped. It's not been a great place for it to go. Sellers Park over there.
Do you know what it is? I would get the
Never St. Mary's, mind.
I would get the St. Maximin argument if we weren't creating chances, but we are. We're all creating chances, but just not put them in the net.
We're not creating clear chances.
I don't think we are. That's what I don't. I think.
Sorry, we did. We created one, and if Isaac had been a half an inch taller, he would have scored because it was that one that flashed over late on.
I think the Wilson header. It's a free header in the middle of the box.
How many times
we've got to score that?
How many times have we sat here saying that we should have taken lead in games over the last few weeks? Every single game.
Yeah,
we absolutely had chances. I just don't think there were. There probably were some clear-cut chances, but
there's a lot of clear-cut chances.
Where
we found ourselves in the box.
Isaac header, Wilson header.
It comes down to the striker.
Was it Botman have one from a header from a corner as well?
Should do better with that.
I tell you what,
should have won that bloody game 6-0.
We're shite.
You haven't even mentioned the Ellie Anderson one.
We had about 110 corners on Saturday, but we're the biggest team in the world. And it's so surprising we don't cause more trouble. I mean, Botman should have scored there, but in general, we don't really cause that. And I'm surprised. I know we do fancy little passes and movement, but you've got one of the best guys to whip a dead ball in. And I'm really surprised we don't get more.
Do you not think? Like I look at that and think, start of this season, we were doing mint things from corners, like little set routines and like different things. And for me, I don't think we are. I think it's
we tried something different with the free kick.
Potentially the free kick, but from corners, it just seems to be the same thing.
Well,
I think it's going to be any inventiveness from happening.
I think it's tough though. I mean,
Trippier's balls have been shocking for the last few games though.
I think
it's called out.
Sure. I think it's hard sometimes, and you can't every single week have a new fancy routine. It's not dancing on ice, like, you know what I mean. It's sometimes you've just got to get it in. But there will be some games where, it's true. I don't know. I just think sometimes in football you have these moments where you're trying, and as Howe said, you're trying your best, and then every single player's giving it all, and they're playing really, really well. But it's just not, happening. And it could be tomorrow night where you just all of a sudden unload on someone. Click. You don't change anything. You just play the same way. Bang, 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 bang. You never know. There
was a load of scrambles in the box and stuff like that, and
I thought Palace defended really well. Yeah. If I'd have been a Palace fan, I'd say, God, we were defended for our lives sometimes, but we're defended really well. And I've said that about us in the dark old days. well, oh God, they defended really well. You know what I mean? But I get it. I do get it. And to be fair, to counter that argument, that's the reason some part of us wants Maxi to play. But I agree. He's not going to. He's going to play the same team, and that's.
I'll be very shocked if it's any changes whatsoever, unless force change.
I strongly think I'll start. Like,
I still think it'll be. I think the step by Wilson, and I would probably tend to agree with him.
I think you might see a different team in the second leg if things go really well tomorrow night.
Potentially,
if we come back with a 2-3 goal, which is far from guaranteed. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if
I think it'll be a tight affair tomorrow night.
No, I do. I think I'll settle for it.
I think how says it. He said it again in the day. He said like I'll play the me best team.
Yeah. And
because we've had a weekend off, as it sounds down, we could win tomorrow 1-0, and I think you'll see the same 11 on the Tuesday.
Maybe,
I honestly do. I think he just, do
you know what it is? I'm a little bit gutted that Southampton don't have a Premier League team at the weekend for the FA Cup. They're playing Blackpool, so I would imagine they'll play a weekend team
Rest
against Blackpool when
they might even
if it had been a Premier League team.
I agree totally.
A Premier League game, sorry, not a Premier League team, a Premier League game that weekend, you might have seen a weekend squad focusing on that game, but unfortunately, it's not the case. Two more questions we'll go through. This one is from Mike that says, "Hey fellas, with Miggy out of contract next summer, should we look to extend or try and get a new right winger?"
Ooh, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he's been that good.
I'm extending me, like, I
think you've got to. It's weird because I go back to what I was saying earlier about players eventually becoming kind of getting superseded by new players coming in. Miggy's 27, 28. Been here a long while now, but he's playing the best football he's been playing since he's signed. Obviously scored 9-10 goals a season, whatever it is.
I've even seen people complaining that he hasn't scored in a few games.
It's
madness.
That's what's going to happen.
I think
that is what happens when you say third in the Premier League, mate.
I think he's a player that you eventually will be looking to improve on.
Yeah, he'll be a player that'll drop down the pecking order.
Yeah, but
eventually.
I still think there's a place for him. I think even if you replaced him as a first teamer this summer coming, I would still have him on the bench as an option.
Well, if he
energy in the break,
if he becomes Jacob Murphy,
that's exactly how.
It's just unbelievable. And for me, if you didn't sign him to a new contract, well, they'd be hell on because he's been unbelievable.
He's been great this season.
It's an absolute no-brainer for me.
We'll end on this one, which is from Jay Chapman. That says, "Good morning, lads, from Adelaide, Australia. Just wondering how you feel about Chelsea being able to spend 500 million in the summer, but we have to worry about our spending because of financial fair play. Chelsea have tried the hardest to get around this by giving 8-year contracts.
It's a very, very high risk. Very high risk, that risk. Because if for some reason they need to get rid of those players. We've got it. It's kind of what we've done.
5.5 years we were doing, weren't we?
Well, we did 8. Niall Ranger, Pardew.
You got back now, wasn't it?
But we've got players. As a part of our problem, ironically, is that we've got players who are on contracts that no one wants to pay the rest of.
Wasn't Jacob? Didn't he sign a 6 or 7 year contract?
I think it was quite a lengthy one. Yeah,
we've got players.
We've done it with Shelby's,
Gale, Richie, players that would otherwise be going like say later that we can't because they're on these deals that have got a while to expire, and Fraser's probably one as well. So
it is mad seeing them spend this much money, though.
The big difference between us and Chelsea, though, is their commercial revenue that they bring in is light years ahead of us. So they can.
That's the difference.
Yes, they're spending a hell of a lot of money, but they're bringing a hell of a lot of money in. So their financial fair play, yes, it looks obscene at the minute, but it's going to be a lot closer to the actual percentages than ours would be.
Well, I've seen that money they've spent in January over the past year or so. Maybe it still far exceeds like what's reasonable because they want to spend. But if they weren't doing this 8-year deal thing, then they wouldn't be spending that money. They couldn't spend that money because it's how it's player amortization when it goes over the length of the contract and all that. Yeah. So if they weren't doing that, they couldn't spend the money that they're spending. So for all they are bringing far more money in than us commercially, that is still another kind of thing that they are doing. That I'm glad that we are not, to be honest with you, because
they're just looking to exploit the rules around FFP, aren't they?
Yeah, the rules are changing as of next year as well.
Yeah,
because of this
convenience.
But the problem is the back end of that, isn't it? Is you're really hurting there, like because you know what I mean. You're giving so many players huge money for such a long period of time. If that doesn't work out, then it's such a gamble, isn't it? Because no one's going to take them off your hands.
And it's not like you can just send them off on loan like they used to.
No, it's really, honestly, it's really difficult. I mean, listen, when they get everybody back fit and all the rest of it, they might be amazing. They might be, but I think it's a huge gamble. Like, and personally, for the amount of money they've spent, some of it's been badly spent. Like,
Oh yeah.
but maybe that's too soon to judge. Because to be fair, but that's too soon.
They've got a hell of a lot of players to clear out in the next couple of weeks.
They really have. Yeah.
So, boys, I'm going to end it there. People watching, you may have actually realised that our eyes have been focused there. We've been watching the Spurs Fulham game just as a little tester because we're doing a watch along tomorrow night. So we're doing a live watch along. So we will be back tomorrow evening. Nervous as ever. We'll probably all sit here in silence throughout that full 90 minutes.
That'll be good. Great viewing that.
It'd be great viewing. Come in and just sit with us. Just sit in silence with us. We'll try our best to keep you entertained. It could be a night of celebrations, a night of tears.
We're getting a Gala Bread special.
We'll get a Gala Bread special. We'll get some tinnies in. But we'll have a laugh. Thanks everybody for joining me tonight. If you do want to do so, you can like the video. It means a lot to us. If you want to become a subscriber, even better.
Not if you want to like the video, you have to like it. Just like it.
Just like the video.
It's free.
If you do want to give a little bit back, you can become a member for just $2.99 a month. You get early access to videos. You also get access to the Telegram group, which is on fire at the minute. Decker's Telegram group notifications could have had a seat in St. James's Park each. There was that many.
The queue. It was the queue of the day sitting.
Thanks, everybody. Like I said, we'll see you tomorrow night. Go and watch the match preview as well. That was recorded yesterday. And we'll see you later. Ta-ra.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, driver.